Honorable sir.
Yeah.
If the democratic institutions are in place, and they said there's a state of emergency, if at the end of the day the National Assembly refused to approve the new request, from what you have said, I don't think there's any difference.
Exactly.
If the military is on the ground, it means they can still perform their duty.
Correct.
Absolutely. For me, if there should be a state of emergency, it should be total.
Exactly.
So that totality, what does it mean for you?
Meaning that
Structure goes.
from the governor to the all the institutions should be military.
State houses.
Then military will be communicating with the military, and directive will be taken direct from the presidency, whatever they want to do.
Okay, how does that, sorry, I'm really sorry, but how does that work? Will that then mean that we'll be able to combat this problem of insurrection?
It is possible, because what we have on the ground now, according to Mr. Nuhu, has yielded nothing. And we have all seen it.
Okay.
I object to that.
All right.
Because if you say there will be total emergency,
Yes.
that means the whole of the system will be taken over by the military.
Yes.
And the problem of insurgency can never be eliminated by the military, because the military, if you can define what a military is, I think it's to protect our external integrity or whatever. But this is an internal problem. Okay, you see, let me give you an instance. What happened last time in Mubi, last 2 weeks or so. You see, the local hunters and whoever vigilante groups, you see what they have done. The military were there in the barracks when the insurgency came to attack the Mubi.
Insurgents.
The insurgents, sorry. So, sorry to say, what we had, because I'm not from Mubi, I'm from Borno State, the whole barrack was empty, and they flee and leave their ammunition. So the boys, the Boko Haram boys, now they take over whatever they have seen on ground, and they are using these weapons to fight us back. So please, we have to gather our own internal intelligence.
Okay, that's your understanding.
That's what you had.
Sorry, I'm really sorry. Let's take control of this conversation now. That is what you heard.
Yes.
It is not necessarily the truth.
Okay.
So that we don't want to give an impression that the military was ransacked when there is no such information coming out from the military or from the government.
Yes,
Now,
and not only that.
Yes.
If it is true, there must be a problem in-house. Because I participated in campaigns. I can't imagine my soldiers being led by myself, and we are abandoning our duty post, as he's trying to describe it. You know, I've been imagining it whenever I read it on the pages of the newspapers. Military, I remember, I'm sorry to cite personal example. On the 9th of November 1992, we were to move into battle in Liberia at Cadwell when we took over from another unit. You see, the way my unit was constituted, there was a problem. Anyway, but the commander on the ground, if he has no alliance with the enemy, you cannot abandon your post. You cannot.
All right.
This story, I don't believe.
Okay, now let me take this up with you as an ex-military man. In terms of what we have heard so far, why has it become so practically impossible for our military men to counter what some people describe as insurgency and others say is blatant terrorism? And they're two different things. Exactly. Why has it become so practically impossible?
From my own experience, you see, I receive so many phone calls about this issue. Sometimes I used to switch off my phone. You see, what we don't know, I mean majority of our people, I'm not blaming them, is because of our own level of exposure. You see, insurgency or fighting guerrilla is different from conventional warfare.
That's correct.
even though what we had in Liberia was somehow guerrilla kind of warfare, there is a conventional aspect of it. That is, you being there, I know you are there, and I am here. There is that line of coordination. That is, if you cross it, you have trespassed. If I cross it, I have trespassed. Then it becomes the survival of the fittest. If I cross it and I'm moving, it means I'm defeating my enemy. But here, even among us here, we cannot say whether there's Boko Haram.
Well, I know that. I'm not Boko Haram. So each individual will speak for themselves.
Yes. So what I'm saying, even the president himself said it, that Boko Haram had infiltrated this government.
Okay.
So to that extent, we cannot, like Mr. Nuhu said, you cannot even identify who is Boko Haram.
So in one sentence then,
yes,
what is it that has stopped the military from being able to bring this to
what they have started now could help a lot. That is integrating the locals into this fighting force.
So using the
we used
vigilantes.
it extensively in Liberia and we succeeded.
Okay.
Using the local, you can't drive them away. I'm not talking of their charms, but the intelligence.
Before I come back to Honorable Yinka Ajayi,
yes,
let me ask you then, if you're going to do that, do you really need to have a state of emergency? Or is this something that you can do by working with the local community?
If there's total state of emergency, we can't drive the citizens away.
Yeah.
They're still on the ground.
Yes.
The people I'm talking about, they're still on the ground. They can still be used.
So your primary position will be declare state of emergency, take away the democratic infrastructure.
Yes, because what we are saying is that sometimes we see the hand of Esau, but the voice is that of Jacob.
Okay, Honorable, now what we're hearing here now gives the impression that there is a possibility that things could be done differently. But if we were to go the route of state of emergency in its true sense and take away the political structure that is existing, and we are already in November, we're approaching January, February when election will be coming. What would be your thought, especially when you think about the fact that people that voted for you and your colleagues in the National Assembly and other parts of government will be looking at it and saying, that means we really cannot have election in those places? What would be your thought?
Well, of course, that would be the minimum consequence of going the full hog of removing the democratic structure within these 3 states. And in some of these states, for example, in Adamawa State, it's in certain local governments, not in all the local government areas in some of these affected states. Now, whether or not we're able to hold elections would be neither here nor there, because we're talking about lives of Nigerians. And it's not all about elections. Can we or can we not hold elections? What should be important to every Nigerian is, can we be safe as Nigerians within the territory, at least within the territory of Nigeria? The issue is not about whether we can vote or not. If removing the democratic structure would absolutely guarantee that, then we would not be kicking against it. But I don't believe that.
You don't believe that?
I don't believe that removing the democratic structure would help in any way whatsoever.
But what about what Cornell is saying regarding the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob?
Political aspect.
Excuse me, sir. So look at it this way. Because at the end of the day, the governor of that state has something to say. You understand? The way he directs the general in the field.
He does not direct the generals.
But they can seek some kind of advice from him.
The governor of Borno State especially has made it blatantly clear that he has no authority over the security
military.
infrastructure.
Yes.
He has no such authority.
Exactly.
He's not the chief security officer of the state in that sense. They take instruction. They take instruction from the presidency, from what we have gathered, which is the position of his spokespeople from the military hierarchy. Yes.
It means there are two parallel authorities
Yes.
on ground.
No, sorry to
Okay.
cut you short.
Yeah, please.
Even in states where you don't have emergency,
Yes.
the governors are reputed to be the chief security officers of their states,
Yes.
but in actual fact they're not, because the law does not give them command and control of the police, the civil authorities in their states. The commissioner of police still has the discretion to seek clearance or advice on instructions given by the governor of the state. So really, it's not a peculiar situation to Borno State.
All right. So while
That
we're on
is the
this issue,
situation of
we're
our
going to have to
constitution.
take a quick break. But before we go on that break, let me ask Nuru here. When you look at the whole of this, if this continues, whether there is state of emergency or no state of emergency, do you see an election happening in Borno State? State of emergency or no state of emergency, do you see an election happening in February with Boko Haram on the back of everybody in your state?
Yeah, this is a difficult question, but as of now, the political 2015 is fast approaching, and you see our politicians, they are on a high spirit as of now because of what I've seen in Borno during the declaration of Ali Modu Sharif. If you see the turnout of people coming out to welcoming and all these things, and presently we know that political institutions are doing very well as of now, but we don't know with the emergency of the state of emergency in place.
Well, okay, let's say tomorrow is February, January, whatever it is, and the election is happening tomorrow. Do you think you can actually have any election that will be successful and truly representative of the people of Borno State, in that state as it is today?
Yeah, not in totality, because some of the part of the state has been wafted away because of this terrorism.
Because of this. So
Yes.
we may not be able to do that.
Yes, in some
Okay.
areas.
All right, in
some
some
parts,
areas.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Would
not-
you, if I was to ask you, would you say 50% of the state might be able to have any election?
50, not up to 50.
About 30%, maybe.
Sorry, come
about
again.
30% of the state might have election that will be credible without Boko Haram disrupting it.
More than 50.
More than
50,
50%.
yes, more than
Okay,
50.
thank you very much.
Yes,
We'll
more
take a
than
short break now. When we come back, we'll be introducing another guest to look at the issue of internally displaced people as part of this conversation on Sunrise this Saturday morning. Please don't go away.